Welcome to Comic Chop News. I'm Dan, and today we're going to talk about the 2018 remake of Suspiria. This one it took me a little while to see it because it didn't play around here, and I didn't get it on in-demand right away. I waited for the Blu-ray release. So I just finished watching it, and I'll start out by saying the original Suspiria I don't hold in this majestic place like some others do. It's a good movie. I don't consider it one of the greats as far as horror goes. Some people will probably disagree heavily with that, and that's fine. It's subjective. My main standouts from that movie were the Goblin score soundtrack, and then also that opening kill with the glass going through, and the imagery of that and how it was shot was just a complete standout of that movie. The rest of it, I didn't really grab me in. I don't worship at the altar of Argento like others. So I'll start out with this. Of course, we don't have the Goblin score. Tom York does a serviceable job. It's different, though, and that kind of... it changes the atmosphere of the movie, if that makes sense. The acting in this movie, probably better than in Argento's. Dakota Johnson, who is our main character, she is fine as the character. Her acting has improved a bit. The only other thing I've seen her in really was the 50 Shades movie, the first one. And her acting was a little wooden in it. She's better in this. Tilda Swinton is pretty good in it. We have Mia Goth playing one of the other protagonists, Sarah. And we have Chloe Grace Moretz in this for like a minute. She's in the opening scenes. She's a little bit batshit insane in visiting a therapist and runs out. It took me a minute to realize that it was her. So as I was just describing here, she sees it. She starts talking about these witches that have been living there all this time. We also... as we said, Dakota Johnson Susie character enters this dance troupe where she doesn't have to pay to go to this school. She gets to live there and she has to perform. As the movie goes on, we realize it's a ritual. I didn't hate this movie, but I will say I started looking at my watch a lot. The pacing and just how the movie played out, it was 2.5 hours, a little bit over, and it just felt interminably long. I know it's a bad sign when in a movie I start looking at my watch. And this was one of those movies. We go through some flashbacks, especially with Susie and what her home life was like. A standout scene, which I think was way better than the original, is there's a part with this link between Susie and another dancer named Olga, and as Susie's doing the dance, we'll just call it the dance of death, the other girl, her bones are cracking, she's folding in on herself almost, like her legs curling up in these different positions, and she's just in this screaming pain, and you can see the contortions of her body moving around, and her cheek goes across the mirror and it's rubbing against it as her jaw dislocates. It is a great bit of practical effects, and there are a couple of scenes like this where I'm back in the movie. I'm just sold because, again, practical effects they're still used, but I feel like CGI has kind of overtaken them a bit, and when I see really good practical effects, I have to stop and appreciate them. This was one of those moments. If you're a gore hound, the end of the movie, which even the end of the movie is interminably long, but there's just blood squirting everywhere. There is an old woman in there who is at the academy who, the closest thing I can say with the prosthesis on her is that she looks like Ted Raimi's Henrietta character from Evil Dead 2. The chest, the torso, everything, it's jarring. It's really jarring. The end it is more of an ending than I feel like the original Suspiria had. There is an epilogue to it. Again, it felt long and drawn out. Not like Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, 3 endings kind of long, but it felt longer than it should have been. I feel like a half hour of this movie could have been cut out. At the same time as I'm complaining about this, the director, Luca Guadagnino, I apologize now. I forgot to write it down before I did this. There is some beautiful shots in this. I can see why some people seem to want to draw a line between him and Kubrick. But Kubrick had that perfect symmetry that he used in a lot of his movies. Where there was symbolism. The dance choreography was striking. Although the scene near the end, the dance scene is very just jump cut, and this jarring kind of spastic movement to the camera that I didn't love. Overall, I'm somewhere in the 2.5 to 3 range on this. It might require another watch. I don't love it, but it's not bad. Just know that when you sit down to watch this, you got to invest 2 hours and 38 minutes, and some of it is slow and moves at a snail's pace where it was really hard for me. And, I start checking my phone, and all of a sudden checking my iPad. Maybe in a theater it would have been a different thing because I wouldn't have had those distractions around to kind of give me an opportunity to kind of look away. I can't even recommend buying this. If it is on streaming or if you just want to rent it, it's worth that. Since it was a rental for me from Netflix, it had all the extras kind of cut away, so all it is just the feature. So I'm curious to watch like a behind the scenes or if there's a commentary to it to kind of get a vibe of some of the changes they made. This is one of those remakes though where the director made it his own, and it has some of the touches of the original Argento film while also making changes that make it its own film. And I probably would prefer this one over the Argento one, it's weirdly enough. But I missed that Goblin score so much, and that shocked me because I mean I love Radiohead, I love Tom York, but it was so sing-songy and kind of buried behind the movie where the score never stood out to me. It was just kind of there playing in the background. So I'm going to end this review with that. I'm changing things up on this review, so there's going to be less clips because I saw that Lionsgate was affiliated with this, and they put copyright claims on everything, and every week I've released a movie review lately. I have gotten a copyright claim from some weird distributor in France that I can't even prove is affiliated with the movie, so there's going to be more screen caps with this and probably going on. And if I can somehow work around that I can put clips in without getting copyright claims, I will start doing it a little bit more. But anyway, I want to thank you for joining me. If you'd like to comment on this, point out something that maybe I might have missed that could have changed my view of this movie. And again, I don't hate it. Don't let anything I say about the movie change how you view the movie. We all see movies differently. I know I say this a lot, but it is subjective. And I've had movies that I went and saw in a bad mood and just watched it again, maybe even years down the line. All of a sudden I was like, oh, what the hell was wrong with me? Why didn't I like this the first time around? Like, subscribe, and thank you for joining me, and have a good week. And next week I will be reviewing not one but 2 movies. Going to be doing Alita, Battle Angel, and Happy Death Day to You. Take care and farewell.